What's up everyone? So before I even go too far into this video, I want to say I've been working so hard on these renders of what I think the iPhone SE 2 might look like. Now you might be asking yourself, dude, the iPhone SE 2 was supposed to come out in June and it didn't come out. So why are you bringing it up again? Well, I don't have any designated proof. I don't have anything. I'm just making assumptions right now, but I do have a hint or a hunt or whatever. I have something that kind of tells me inside that Apple might actually release an iPhone SE 2 eventually. Most probably saying that in June, they'll probably release it this upcoming June in 2019. And I'm pretty sure it's going to look like what you're seeing on the screen. It's going to be pretty much bezel-less, pretty much like what the iPhone X is, XS and XS Max, but just shrunk down onto the body of the iPhone SE, of the current iPhone SE. Now, the biggest thing that I've seen a lot, and it's a huge contradiction of what I'm trying to say right now, but it's like we already have the iPhone XR, which is a budget iPhone. So why would Apple go release another budget iPhone? Like, just be happy with what we have now. But I don't think it's a price thing. I don't think it's like a, oh my God, like this phone is cheaper, so I'm gonna get it. I think it's definitely a size thing, you know? If the iPhone XR was smaller than the iPhone XS, then I would have definitely said, you know, this is probably the iPhone SE 2 they're gonna release. But the fact that the iPhone XR is bigger than the iPhone XS and it's cheaper than it makes me think that Apple knows their market, and I think they're definitely prepping us for something that they're doing in the future. But going with the iPhone SE 2, I don't think people want it because of the price. I mean, that's definitely a huge factor for it. I think it's more so of the size of the phone. That people honestly want a smaller phone, you know? Now, looking at past iPhones, we can sometimes predict the future with the past, okay? Now, with the iPhone 5S, that thing was released in 2013, and that was the last time we saw a pretty small phone up until the iPhone SE, and that was released in 2013, okay? Now, the iPhone SE was released almost 3 years later in 2016, okay? Now, it was released in June at WWDC. It wasn't a full 3 years, but from 2013 to 2016, let's just say it was 3 years, okay? Which honestly makes more sense for Apple to release it in 2016 in WWDC so they don't really take away from what they were releasing in September of that year. So wouldn't it make sense for Apple to release an iPhone SE 2 another 3 years later from when they released their iPhone SE and their iPhone 5S, so they're 3 years apart? So that would definitely tell me that quite possibly they would release an iPhone in 2019, 3 years later from their initial iPhone SE release. Now, it would have probably been better if they released it this year, but Apple knew that they were releasing another budget iPhone this year, so they didn't want to have a conflict or anything like that. And they're probably going to make more money off the iPhone XR than the iPhone SE 2 potentially. So that's why it kind of makes me think that they would release it later on in 2019 to get all these people to buy the iPhone XS and XS Max and more the iPhone XR, and then release another budget iPhone or a smaller iPhone next year so that they can get even more money. Another thing, you know, they stopped production of the iPhone SE, so you can't buy a small iPhone anymore. Now, Apple definitely knows their market, and they know people want a smaller iPhone. You know, they're not idiots. They're not really looking out for what's best for the world or anything like that. I mean, they kind of are with a lot of their initiatives, but as a whole, I mean, they're a company. They want to make money. So they know, I mean, like I said, they're not dumb. They know a lot of people want a smaller iPhone, you know, and I've posted on my gram and I posted on Twitter just renders and stuff that I've been doing, pretty much what you're seeing on in this video. And people are hitting me up and they're like, yeah, this is awesome. We would love to see this. And people think the renders are real, so I kind of had to put a disclaimer on the Instagram one, but there's no reason for Apple not to release something like this, in my opinion. And since they stopped the production of the iPhone SE, it kind of makes me think that they're almost prepping up for another release of a smaller iPhone, because they don't want people upgrading to that iPhone, which is cheaper than a lot of the other options, because they don't want to give people a lot of options when they go to the Apple Store. They want people to buy the most expensive things in there, honestly. And another thing, they wanted the iPhone SE 2 to be released after the iPhone XR because, in my opinion, I think the iPhone XR would actually cost more than the iPhone SE 2. So they couldn't necessarily market the iPhone XR as a cheaper iPhone or budget iPhone, because the iPhone SE 2, which was released the same year, was also a budget iPhone. So I think they wanted to release it after, which is a little bit more chance than anything else. It's a little bit more risky, but that's kind of what I'm thinking. And like I said, there's so much of a need for it. I posted on Twitter and I posted on Instagram. People want to see it and they're commenting. They're like, yeah, I want to see it, this and that. And like I said, Apple definitely wants to make money. They're not trying to not do it for any other reason. I mean, if they can make money off it, they're going to do it. And I think Apple's too smart to pass up on this, if I'm being honest. I think they're definitely leading us into something. And I did a lot of videos on the iPhone SE 2 or what I thought, but honestly, at this point, I definitely think they're going to release it in 2019. Now, like I said, this is all pretty much just rumors and all these different things and leaks and stuff like that, but I could definitely see them releasing it in 2019. Now, all the photos you're seeing on the screen is definitely what I think they're going to do. They're going to do bezel-less, a notch on top, then Face ID, no home button, and possibly remove the headphone jack as well. Now, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And like I said, this is all just my thoughts. There's no way to verify this or anything like that, but I would love to see Apple release an iPhone SE 2, dude. That thing would be awesome. And I honestly think that there's probably at least a 45% chance at this point. We're still so many months away from, it's not even 2019 yet, but I think they could release it at WWDC of 2019. But that is my opinion, guys. If you guys have any questions or anything like that, leave it down in the comment section below. Hit that like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. If you guys want to see more renders and stuff that I post, I'm going to start doing a lot more though, so definitely follow me on Twitter and Instagram. I post them more so on Twitter, but I'll start posting them on Instagram too, so I'd really appreciate it if you guys follow me there. But definitely check out the other links down in the description, like I said, my Twitter, my Instagram, but also my second channel. I do a lot of iOS comparisons. I talk a lot about the iPhone SE on that channel as well. So I'd really appreciate if you guys could check that channel out too. But more importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.